The most brutalized segment of the market is definitely development. There was a couple months there where the industry was a bit quiet. You weren't really hearing much going on, but in the last couple weeks, we've had another wave of receiverships hit the news. And that's what I'll be talking about today, as well as some conversations, some things that are happening behind the scenes. So flash sale fails to save Surrey's Belvedere condo tower from financial woes. Despite the much publicized condo day flash sale held earlier this year, the Belvedere project in Surrey by Square 9 Developments, Inc. is now under creditor protection, according to BC Supreme Court filings obtained by Western investors. So if you guys remember, this was like almost everybody did a video on this. It was all over Twitter. I think it even made it to the news. CBC or one of the global news had a segment on it. It was that one day flash sale where prices were like, 25% off or whatever it was, right? According to court documents, Belvedere was completely sold out as of March 24, 2025, but there are now currently 40 unsold residential units as a result of the softening of the residential condominium market, and some buyers are not completing their purchases. The 5 retail units remain under contract for a grand total of $8.1 million, with sales set to complete January 21st, 2026. After buyers started not completing their purchases, Square 9 held a condo day flash sale on May 31st that offered units at 25% off listed prices. The unique marketing campaign was led by Key Marketing and resulted in 38 units being sold for a total of approximately $18.5 million. So I remember when they did this, there was like a huge news story. And a lot of people, even in my industry, were kind of like, I can't think of the word right now. I can't think of a word other than shitting. They were kind of shitting on the way. I try to keep it professional. I don't know, man. I can't think of another word. They were shitting on the way that this project was being marketed. Now, I know Key Marketing. Key Marketing does a really good job. They're one of the better project marketing firms out here. And what people forget to realize is like people give listing agents so much shit for the way that they market properties. Their loyalty is not to you as the buyer. They have no loyalty to you. Their loyalty is to their client. So if I'm Key Marketing, like what if I were to speculate what probably happened when all of these rescissions came back or all these units didn't complete, the developer, like they probably had a conversation and either it was straight up like, hey, I'm going to be screwed if you don't sell these units, or there was a vibe or a tonality in that conversation that made Key Marketing think the developer was probably in trouble, even if it wasn't outright said. So if I'm Key Marketing and I have an idea that my client's in trouble, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. I'm going to do whatever I can to try to sell these properties and help my client out. Whatever I can within the realm of compliance, while remaining in compliance, but I'm going to do whatever I can to try to sell these properties. And they did a freaking amazing job. They sold 38 units in a market, in a sub area that had like 700 units on the MLS and like 50 of them per month were selling. They almost did the entire transaction volume that would have been seen that month in Surrey Central in this one building. So say what you want, but they did their job as a listing agent, as a marketing firm. They did an amazing job on this project because, again, people can be like, oh, it wasn't really 25. Oh, it was this, it wasn't that. They got them sold. Their loyalty is not to you, the buyer. Their loyalty is to the client, their client, right? Which is another reason why today you're seeing a lot of, and I made a video on this, you're seeing a lot of like a home that should be worth 1.3 million is priced at 999. A lot of that isn't because the realtor thinks that is the best listing strategy. A lot of that is because the realtor knows their client's in trouble and they're throwing a Hail Mary. Oh, we've already tried this price. We've tried this price. We've tried this price. Okay, we got to do something different. Let's, you can barely make your payments. This needs to be sold soon. Let's try the list it low and hold offer strategies and see what happens. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of that today in a market with like ridiculously high inventory, really low demand. You're seeing so many of these list it low offer date strategies. I don't think it's because people actually believe that's the best strategy. I think a lot of it is realtors throwing Hail Marys to try to get the goal accomplished for their client. The appraised value of the 40 remaining units is $27 million. The lack of proceeds from those sales meant that Square Nine could not pay off its mortgage. So what is that per unit? This is the appraised value, right? So 27,365,000 divided by 40, 684,000 per unit. So, that appraisal is probably high even for today, because that would mean for the average to be 684,000, that means they would have to have a bunch of units in there that are like 700 plus thousand, 800 plus thousand even, that you're probably not going to get in Surrey Central right now, right? So what happened here, for people that don't understand, right? There was a lot of people who bought into this building pre-sale, maybe a couple of years ago. Come completion, they walked from their deposit. Developer took back the unit, and now the developer had to then sell that unit to a new buyer. Because the prices dropped so much, they couldn't sell them at today's value, even after keeping the deposits from the purchasers. They couldn't sell them at today's value to pay back the lender. So your two options are sell the units for today's value, right? And let's just say you owe the lender 27 million, but these units are worth 20. Then you're going to owe the lender $7 million. Now, if you don't have cash to cover that $7 million, then you can't even sell the units, because you can't bring cash to the closing table to pay off that mortgage, right? Your second option is trying to sell them for 27 million and sit there as the holding costs completely eat you alive. And the holding costs on 40 units worth $600 something thousand is, well into six figures a month, I would have to guess. So that's not a great option either. You probably can't survive too long doing that. In addition to that, this developer, I've never worked with them before, but they're also facing insolvency proceedings on two other projects in Metro Vancouver, one in Surrey and one in Burnaby. Now, there are way more developers than this going under. You just don't hear about them because they didn't grow their business to the scale that this developer did, right? These guys obviously grew a pretty big, robust, legit development business, and that's why it makes headline news. But there are a whole bunch of people going into foreclosure every single day on the smaller scale, to probably even the medium guys you don't really hear about. In addition to that, there was another one, this Howard Chai guy on Twitter. Not too sure who he is, but he's pretty fast to the information. Another developer here lists their bowling project less than 3 years after purchase. They bought this one for $94 million in 2023. Now it's for sale. And he's basically speculating that it could be for sale because they had another side of theirs placed into receivership over here. And now they have listed a project that they have in Brighouse West Business Park, as well as the REVS bowling site. So, it's not just Square Nine. There are other developers that are, it's like you build a business for 20 years and one really bad cycle completely blows you up. And it's like the best guys out there are really struggling right now because your model has basically imploded for the most part. If you were a large developer, your model has imploded. So it's not just Square Nine. Obviously, there have been many before these guys. Here's another one right here, and there's going to be some more. I was talking to another developer offline the other day, and he was basically saying in his words that and this obviously is like an over-exaggeration. We're having a candid conversation, but he was like, pretty much every small to medium developer that's sitting on land in Surrey Langley has at least one foreclosure in their portfolio right now, because they've bought land for 25 million that's worth 10 million, and they're sitting there making interest-only payments on this land that has no income, and they've been doing that for 3 years now, almost 4 years now. So a lot of them, the lenders are just taking back that land. And he basically said it's pretty much all of them, right? But I doubt it's all of them, but there's probably a lot of them. So it's unfortunate for these developers. I feel for them. I know most people don't, but I do, because at the end of the day, they built a business for probably 2 decades, put everything into it, all hours of the day working on this. And sure, yeah, they probably made a lot of money from like 2010 to whatever. But I mean, good for them. They took a lot of risks. They built a business, and one bad market cycle, you're wiped out. You lose everything. And yeah, it freaking sucks. But that is the latest. It is pretty much the developer apocalypse right now. But if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe. If you want to chat with me about buying or selling real estate in the Valley, link down in the description. Otherwise, I'm that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.